If you look around in your day-to-day life, you can observe a lot of men who constantly blame their failures and shortcomings on everything but themselves. When they lose their job, it is because of their bad manager. When they fail in business, it is because the economy is harsh. When they get divorced, the blame falls fully on their spouse. What about you, friend? Were you ever in a position in which you could not see beyond your ego, ending up putting the blame for your lack of success on someone else? Maybe you have failed an exam thinking wholeheartedly that the professor was unfair. Perhaps you have bent reality at times only to justify your shady actions. Whatever the case may be for you, and however difficult it may seem to honestly assess your own actions and to determine your responsibility for them and their consequences, owning up to your mistakes is crucial if you ever wish to be a mature man, and you must do your best to make such an effort. If you decide to do that, you will find that striving to carry the burden of your mistakes is incredibly valuable. Finding justifications for everything that you do will deform reality, leading you to have a reduced ability to make good decisions, since the information that you are using for your choices will not be accurate. What is even more dangerous is the fact that one self-justification creates another one, setting you more and more off track. This type of approach can keep you away from the people and pursuits that could have been good for you. For example, if you could have been able to see clearly that the professor who was out to get you had a desire to help you through his criticism rather than attack you, you could have ended up having an incredible mentor by your side, and your choices throughout your academic journey might have been better. If you can own up to a mistake and take full responsibility for your misjudgment as soon as you are in the wrong, and if you do your best to correct the situation and make it right, you can prevent it from turning into a much bigger problem that will be much more difficult to solve down the line. By acknowledging your mistakes and by taking ownership of your shortcomings, you can extract useful lessons from them, you can learn from them, and you can prevent yourself from repeating them. Failure and making mistakes is nothing more than a sign that you are on the edge with your skills and abilities, and staying on that edge while owning your shortcomings will only lead you to growth. Drop your fear and worry that people might see you in a bad light if you mess up. Acknowledging your faults, apologizing for them, and then making sure to make things right will always have a positive effect, and people will respect you for that. There might still be bad consequences for your actions, of course, but honesty will always be appreciated. Remember, friend, self-justification is a cold and slow relationship killer, as it causes people to build up blame against each other, and although you might justify your mistakes through a situation, you will most probably be judged for it because of who you are, because of your character, rather than for your behavior. You will seldom hear that someone did bad stuff. Most often than not, you hear that someone is a bad person. On the other hand, if you are able to admit your faults and if you are able to see yourself as an important contributor to the health of any relationship, you will be able to also have empathy for the person in front of you, as well as understanding for why they do what they do every now and then, without labeling them as flawed, because just like you, nobody is perfect. Dare, friend, to own your mistakes and allow yourself to grow from a childish mindset into mature manhood. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and blaming others for your failures, learn from your shortcomings and use such moments as stepping stones to getting better, stronger, and wiser. Even though it is not possible to be attentive of everything, you should strive to build greater awareness and ownership of your behavior and mistakes, especially those that are meaningful. To be able to do this, you will need to embrace humility, since the ones having the most trouble admitting their failures are the ones that are overconfident in their behavior, the ones that seem to be blinded to the fact that the gap between reality and their self-image is so wide that their justifications become ridiculous. Understand, friend, that real confidence is strongly connected with honest self-assessment and actual achievement, and have the courage and willpower to put in some extra effort in self-reflection to catch your justifications early on. Own up to a mistake when it is small and do it as soon as possible after it happens. Ignore the temptation to justify even the smallest things, and never allow your faults to get out of hand and end up the missteps that are destroying your life. Pay attention to your ego's defense system and observe honestly the moments when you are starting to justify your mistakes. Embrace the mental discomfort of not engaging in such a pattern and refuse to put the blame on situations or on other people. Analyze honestly your own implication in the mistake and examine it from different angles as well as from other people's perspectives. Refuse to surround yourself with yes men who never contradict your justifications, because without honest feedback you will fall further down the rabbit hole of your ego-driven delusions. Dare to accept in your life people who are willing to give it to you straight, who are willing to call you out when you mess up, and who do this out of love and care because they wish to see you do better and thrive. Keep in mind, friend, that the probability that you will try to excuse your behavior, blame others and play the victim increases, and your likelihood of taking action decreases, the less skilled you are and the less you are certain that you can solve a problem yourself. Build up your skills in the areas in which you find yourself most often throwing the blame onto others, because the more skills you have at your disposal, the more confident you will feel in your problem-solving abilities and the more likely you will be to take responsibility for the consequences of your actions. Remember that success in any area of life is a function of effort. Do not feel threatened by mistakes. Dare to see them as simply part of the learning process. Own them honestly, do your best to correct them, and give yourself the proof that you can work through something that was not working before and eventually improve. When you will be faced with the outcomes of your screw-ups, will you be the man who is humble enough to take responsibility for them, or will you create scapegoats and pass the blame to someone else? The first option will lead you to growth, the second to deception. The choice is yours to make.